Incendies 2010. This film's by Denis Villeneuve, same director as the Dune films recently, but this is a very different film, and I think it's amazing. I've talked to several colleagues at work about films, especially on a Friday when the new films get released, and this particular colleague, Peter, lent me a DVD, and I haven't used DVDs for ages. I've been using streaming services throughout the 2020s. I even found out that my DVD player doesn't seem to work anymore. So I arranged to visit a friend yesterday evening, and we saw it on her DVD player that she had to dust off and get working as well, as she hasn't been using it for years. It does seem to be a format that probably won't be around for many years to come, but maybe it will. I've subscribed to some people who get a haul of DVDs every month still, so maybe they'll keep it going for many years to come. It is a great format. I mentioned recently about how I miss the audio commentaries. It feels like the director's talking to you personally over your headphones if you watch the film with that switched on. And I loved it for films like Rules of Attraction, American Beauty. I remember Sam Mendes talking through that film, various other films. Back to this film, it's really dramatic from the start. The first scene is where there's possibly a hot country where there's something very difficult and traumatic happening. I mean, there's a group of young lads having their heads shaved. It seems like it might be a war zone or some camp, but we don't get to know the circumstances until we put maybe two and two together. There's a maths component to this film, which is very interesting. It turns up at the end, so I may mention a little bit more without a spoiler in a little while. But firstly, we next see Canada, where a grown up daughter, is at a swimming pool with her mother, and she notices that something's up with her mum. She's not responding. She seems to be in a state of catatonia. There's a word that my friend knew about. She's got medical training. I can't remember it. She seems unresponsive when her daughter's calling maman and asking if she's okay, and she isn't. She's dying. A bit later on, we actually see this daughter and her brother at a reading of a will because the mother's died, and the brother and sister are twins, and they're sent on a quest. And the sister willingly goes on this quest into the Middle East, into war zones, or what was a war zone in the 70s when her mother was there. She has to find out about what exactly happened. And her brother is not so willing to do this. He's quite upset by being given this quest. It's a very difficult situation. He reacts quite aggressively against it. Melissa Desamo Paulin, Jeanne Marwan, that's the daughter. Maxime Gaudet, who plays Simon Marwan, that's the brother. And there's Lubna Azabal, who plays Nawal Marwan, and she's the mother. So there's a lot of flashbacks to the early to mid 70s when we get to see the mother when she was younger. She's perhaps a similar age to her daughter 35 years later in these scenes in their noughties. But when she's younger, we get to see the difficulties that she experiences, quite a lot of trauma, a really, really difficult time. The war situation. It's another film like Friendship's Death, which really gets me thinking a lot about Gaza and about the whole conflict that's been going on. I liked it for a similar reason because you're really taken into that scenario. Along with these flashbacks, these are takeawayed with Jeanne finding out about her mother. And meanwhile, Simon is back in Canada. He's in touch. I mean, Jeanne rings him regularly to update him on what's happening. And eventually he's persuaded to travel over there. But before he gets there, whilst Jeanne's there in the Middle East, she meets people and they're not exactly always friendly. As she uncovers some of the mystery, some people, when they find out who she's looking for, they tell her point blank that she's not welcome. So it's a story of intrigue because you want to know exactly what happens. And this story does unfold bit by bit. So you get to see what Noelle, the mother, does. And she travels to the south of the country, even though that's where the war is, and her family are evacuating, and most of them travel north. There's some fairly shocking events that happen. I mean, there's checkpoints, there's awful things that happen. The conflicts between a group of people who Muslim and a group who are Christian. And I was wondering, was it based on a real life country? I was racking my mind thinking back to Friendship's Death. The story plays out. We uncover a lot of the story, but then there's this twist towards the end. It's got this mathematical element, simple arithmetic, but the scene, it gave me such a chill. I mean, when I saw the reaction by one of the characters, it really felt like a visceral chill up my spine while I was trying to figure out what exactly does this mean. So that is one of the key moments of the film, and it's really good when everything starts to fall in place, because for a while you kind of wonder what exactly is going on. I mean, there's different names for the characters. So as we build up the picture of Noelle, as she's going through the conflict in the 70s, she gets stuck in a certain place. I'm not going to say any more than that. All these things happen. And I think it's like one of those films, like Friendship's Death, which stay with me. I'd really like to see that film again, simply because there's something about those stories, especially when there's such awful events continuing in the Middle East to this day. It feels topical, although it's in a different situation. You can sort of superimpose the situation in Gaza or on the West Bank or something like that against this story from 1970 to 1974. I think it's expertly woven, the story. The acting is incredible. Really liked it. I'm going to score this 9.25. It is one of those films you're taken into that moment in some very compromising situations where you wonder, what is the moral of the story? Not all of it is explained. We just get the circumstances and the consequences. If you've seen this film, let me know your thoughts. If you like this review, please like. Thanks for subscribing, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.